Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanum. Pakhair ragale. Ni hao. Chunushumme. Washmale. Ohaya gunzaimus. Guten Morgen. Hola. Bonjour. Privyet. Kaifa hal. Hale shumachatore. Ahlan wasalan. Marhaba. Buna. Mucho. Gracias. Swabia. Balli kare Hosh Galden, and thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning alongside my very pink colleague who happens to be Ms. Haja Saddi. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. First things first. Hello Haja, how are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for asking me. I'm doing good. So Shahzad, you know what? I was watching a Netflix season. You know, it was a very feel-good season.
Which one?
Sweet Magnolias.
All right.
Right. The story is centered around a small town in the US, you know, where everybody is very well connected and, you know, everybody looks out for each other. And you know what? This reminded me of how, you know, how our human society should be based, right?
All right.
And again, then I will bring my critique of the modern capitalist system, the liberal system, you know, which is very individualistic based, right? So if 10 people were living in a house, modern capitalistic system want us to live in different houses because then they can sell their products to 10 different households, right?
True.
And this is how they're getting money. But I do feel that this is, you know, not very close to nature. And I do feel that, you know, that is why there's a lot of depression, anxiety and whatnot going around the society, right?
I mean, I certainly would love to agree over here as well, but
Okay.
you know, nature has so many other beings as well. You know, where cows will always be in herds as well, and you know, they totally believe
So, you
in
know-
joint
you know-
family
you
system.
know-
But when it comes down to humans, you know, we are the smartest on this planet. At least, you know, this is what we've learned growing up, and I think it's a matter of choice whether to live with.
I
you
mean,
know,
you
other
live with your
family
father,
members.
right?
Yeah, what?
Yes.
Yes. Obviously, I'm a
Right.
father, and I live
No.
with my father
Yes.
because I'm the eldest son.
Right.
You know, and I need to look after my parents, and why not? You know, because I certainly do not have to pay any bills. So I think that's the best part for me too as well.
Right.
You know, it goes in my favor, but for everybody else who's out there,
Right.
you know, if you have a bigger place, if you think that you can have your own space within that place, I think it's better to live with your parents, your other family
Right.
members as well, and that too peacefully and with
Right.
harmony. If peace cannot be attained while you live together, I think it's about time that you move out.
Right.
Right,
Okay,
that's
so
simple.
I think it's a different debate. Let's not delve into it. So, you know, going on to the very important part of our segment, which is the news segment,
Yes.
right? Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has said that the government wants to transform Pakistan into an Asian hub for industrialization through extensive investment. Oh, wow. He was talking to a delegation of Bahraini companies led by Chairman Royal Nova Private Limited, Sheikh Khalid Mohammed Salman Al Khalifa in Islamabad. And he directed all the concerned institutions to utilize their resources to provide every possible facility to Bahraini investors on a priority basis. During the meeting, Board of Investment gave a detailed briefing to Bahraini delegation about investment opportunities in different sectors of Pakistan, including health, tourism, hotel industry, housing, information technology, food and agriculture.
You know, every single day I see my Prime Minister working hard, making sure that Pakistan is going to have stronger ties with the other nations, and then that too obviously will have an impact on our economy. And I think it's just great. So thank you very much. Please keep up with your vision. And, you know, I think you're the most efficient human being as of now when we talk about Pakistan as well. So, sir, keep up the good work. And the team, obviously, kudos to you too as well. Now, moving down to, you know, this
Right.
is how the domino effect actually works when we talk about efficiency, when we talk about
Right.
efficacy as well.
Right.
Now, imagine that, you know, the managing director, Pakistan Television, has something very amazing to say as well. And
Okay.
I think it should actually be followed in all sorts of public offices as well. So imagine that the managing director, Pakistan Television Corporation Limited, Syed Mubashir Taqi Saab, has inaugurated the colorful opening ceremony of reactivate sports activities in PTV after 3 years gap due to the COVID-19. A large number of PTV players and officials were present on this occasion. Saifullah Shahid, President PTV Sports Cell, Director Admin and Personnel, along with other directors of PTV, also witnessed the ceremony. MD issued directives to reactivate the sports activities not only among the PTV employees but also raise the professional teams of hockey, football along with other sports for participation in the national level tournaments. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Imagine, so from public offices we will be kind of participating in national level competitions.
Oh, wow.
Which game are you good at?
So I'm good at nothing. I can swim, right? And I do the gym, but I'm not into, very much into
Competitive sports.
Yes.
All right, but yes, obviously, I think all the public offices really need to follow this as well, and that will be great. We will have that environment
Right.
where we will produce a lot of talented people who are going to go
Right.
and participate in the national level competitions.
And
Why
probably
not?
increase the harmony also, right? Which is a very important thing when it comes to the office environment.
Yes, and
Right.
now moving on, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, since I'm into sports myself,
Right,
I
right.
love to ride horses, swim, go
Right.
to gym, but yes, I like cricket as well. So imagine now, ladies and gentlemen, just yesterday, the Pakistan Cricket Board has announced the squad for the upcoming two-match test series against Sri Lanka, slated to take place next month. Sri Lanka will host Pakistan for the test matches next month. Pakistan leg spinner Yasir Shah will mark his return to the national men's cricket team as chief selector Mohammad Wasim announced the 18-member squad for the test series. The cricketer has finally joined the side after regaining full fitness. Salman Ali Agha, who has scored 4,224 runs and taken 88 wickets in first class, is another addition to the squad. Mohammad Nawaz is the third player to be recalled. He was named in the squad for Australia Test but was withdrawn due to injury. The squad named for the latest ICC World Test Championship fixtures include 3 openers, 4 middle order batters, 3 all-rounders, 2 wicket-keepers, 2 spinners and 4 fast bowlers. Pakistan will begin the series with a 3-day warm-up match starting July 11th. The series will begin in Galway on July 16th with the second test to start on July 24th in Colombo.
Oh, wow.
And Team Pakistan, best of luck. And
Right.
just yesterday, I was in conversation with Mr. Rashid Latif, the former
Okay.
captain for Pakistan cricket team. He, ladies and gentlemen, was really very confident about the selection. And the best part over here is that, in 2015, Pakistan actually won a series in Sri Lanka, and that too with 2-1 as well. Yasir Shah took 28 wickets,
Okay.
if I'm correct, either 26 or 28. So I think I'm going to go with 28 as well. So best of luck, Team Pakistan. Make sure that you bring back some good names
Right.
to Pakistan.
Right, right. So I think Shahzad gave a very passionate, analysis about the sports
am.
because the sports is your thing, right?
Yeah.
So okay, Shahzad. I think that there were a lot of problems while we were growing up in our education sector, right? And
Why didn't we realize it when we were
Yes.
growing up? That's
Yes.
the problem.
Yes, yes. But
Because
now,
the education system didn't allow us to realize it, because the
Right.
kind of education we were getting never. In
Right.
fact, for me, the kind of a student I was, I never even liked education in the first step.
was that the part of the problem?
I think it
Okay.
was.
Okay, and I do feel that you raise a very important point, that young voices are not incorporated into the education system. They're not very attentively
Yep.
listened and looked upon, right?
Yes.
That goes with that. So we are going to introduce, without any further delay, a very esteemed
Yeah,
guest.
and before you introduce, I certainly have researched quite a lot about her. So
Okay.
if you don't mind, would you
Right,
mind if
sure,
I introduce?
sure, sure.
So imagine, ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, this lady has been at the forefront of education sector as well. Imagine
Right.
that she has given 17 years of her life, dedicated them towards education, where she wanted to bring in a knowledge-based system for Pakistan as well.
Right.
Just very recently, Mr. Ehsan Iqbal Sahab tweeted something, and then she actually replied in a single tweet. And he actually wanted an answer in 50 words as well, but she was good with it as well. She has been conferred upon with the highest civil award, Tamgha Imtiaz, too, as well. She has referred Pakistan. In fact, she's represented Pakistan in the Saudi Kingdom as well, and she's been awarded for that too multiple times. But
Right.
now she's talking about how we really need to move on from an information-based knowledge system, which I'm referring to it as information-based, to a knowledgeable system as well. First of all, we obviously want to draw the line, okay, how do we differentiate? Because certainly, the kind of education system we've been in does not allow us to kind of expand our horizon of what we think
Okay.
or how the world really needs to be as well.
Right.
So we are seriously going to be in conversation with this amazing Wonder Woman who happens to be, she actually happens to be the senator for Pakistan People's Party as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky to actually welcome Ms. Seher Kamran. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. So, and that's where I'm going to start my conversation from. You know it already.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
So, all right. So now, as I said, that the kind of education system we were a part of, obviously we keep on hearing there's, federal board, then there's GCSEs, then
Right.
there's now International Baccalaureate. And, the name gets interesting, but the education does not at all. So how do we draw a line in between the information-based system, education system, or the curricula, and then how do we differentiate in between a knowledge-based curricula as well? And how would you do it, even though that you've been a part of education sector for more than 17 years and you have
And-
won several awards? But since you went to the same schools we did, how did you realize that that's what we want?
Okay, I was very lucky to have to go to the very good schools,
Alhamdulillah.
and I found very supportive teachers who
Okay.
helped us, like, coming from an ordinary background and reaching to the
Highest.
Senate.
Right.
It was not an easy journey, and yes, I was lucky to have guidance of Shahid Benazir Bhutto Sahiba also.
Mashallah.
But at the same time, I would say that the foundation that was built from our home, from our school, I would define education very simply from that one word, which was the first verses of Holy Quran, Ikra. What is that? To gain, to acquire knowledge.
Yep.
That's
So that is all education about.
right.
Today we live in a digitalized world. We
Right.
have to compete. We have to prepare our students to compete
Right.
in the world today. When we
Right.
talk, we say that our students are the future generation of Pakistan.
Yeah.
So we have to prepare them. And first of all, I think we should understand there are various means of like acquiring knowledge. There is formal education, there's informal education. We learn throughout our life. I might be in the field of education, but I would remain student throughout my life because every day we are in a learning process.
That's true.
Okay, what we have to understand that exactly set a goal, an objective, that what we would like to achieve from education.
All right.
So this is very important that we have to, in our, I don't know, the school systems, there is the mind build that we have to, like, what we say a word rectify, like,
Yeah,
to memorize certain contents
Right.
and then to get certain certifications. Okay, there are different aspects of education. There is personal, like your own personality building, grooming, and then there is social, like how you live in a society, to interact, cultural, that how we carry our culture, and then economic, that yes, you acquire certain degrees to, gain on your
Or to get a
economic
job.
side. Yeah,
beta padhoge nahi, naukri nahi
yeah,
milegi.
so there is like, to gain like professional skills and to equip yourself with the knowledge. So there are different phases. I believe an ideal education system would be overall grooming of a student to help a student think critically, analyze things, and gain maximum on what they are studying.
Yeah.
Okay, Ehsan Iqbal's tweet was very interesting. He
Yes.
was talking about curricula. Okay, a set of program that we give our students to study in the school to qualify a certain level. So my response was that exactly what set of a curricula that helps you groom your personality,
Right.
that help you compete in the digitalized world, that help you gain knowledge, that help you economically, boost yourself. At the same time, you should learn about your cultural identities, you should learn about your societal values, you should learn about ethics. So education is something that grooms you, that teaches you how to coexist in a society,
Right.
how to have tolerance, and how to learn the values. If we don't know the values of our society,
That's true.
if we don't know our cultural identity,
Right.
if we don't know about exactly the subjects that we are studying and the objective that what we would like to achieve, I think it would be just a futile exercise that we do. Just yes, education is like read, write, learn, and then apply your skills. So these are different phases, but at the same time, critically think. Until and unless we have this thinking, we will not achieve something in the world. And today, the world is very competitive. So
Exactly.
this is very important that we should set the goals and let students. And I believe the ideal time was during the COVID, when I realized that exactly the schools were closed and students were connected to the online programs or different like digital programs. We did not take much advantage of that.
All right.
We
Right.
could have taken it. I strongly believe there should be an educational channel,
True.
because that is a medium which connects from villages to the cities, to towns.
PTV has got one, and there are a lot of courses. There are a lot
No,
of
but
courses.
the formal educational channel, and we have to teach students like, where they equipped with the knowledge, they think critically and they prepare themselves, and they are not like deprived of education.
So-
With the
But
yes.
I think in addition to that, I would certainly want to talk about two things. Now, since you obviously mentioned about the cultural, the economic aspect, the grooming, the interpersonal, what I've seen, even though that I've been to a very good school too, alhamdulillah, I've been to Barrier College, let me just name drop it as well. But what happened was that, until the time that I was in my university, all of these things, I was not able to learn because the teachers really didn't have too much time for us. There were 30, 40 students in every single class.
And they have also very, obsolete method of teaching, which was rote learning.
And now, just in addition to that, obviously, previously, while it was COVID, the schools had so much trouble with the learning management systems that the even teachers weren't prepared for it.
Right.
So imagine that's where we are. And then at the same time, in the previous government, we have seen that there was single national curriculum. Do you think that single national curriculum is actually a solution for the knowledge-based curricula which you are promoting?
No, I don't believe in single national curriculum because first of all, when I have evaluated the books, I found lot of mistakes.
Okay.
And then exactly it was to enforce certain kind of mindset, which is like killing the students' creativity and their learning skills. And, so I think this is very unfair with the students. And secondly, we have to preserve every society, and I would say every province and every place has different cultural values.
True.
So we have to give a student an opportunity to learn about their culture, also to learn about their identity, also to learn about their values also. So this is very important. If we, the worst part which I believe in our curriculum is that we have taken the civic education away.
True.
Which we see like a problem in our society every day, that students they study in the school, they acquire certain degrees, but they don't know how to follow the societal values, societal norms, what language to be used, how to follow the rules and the regulation, how to cross the road. So these are how to respect the law. That's why we see many laws being passed from the parliament but never implemented. I take a pride that my law which I introduced, it was on civic democratic education, Civic Education Act 2018, which was passed by both the houses, published in the Gazette, but not yet implemented. So through your program, I would also request the Education Minister Rana Tanveer that it's the high time that we implement that, because it should become a mandatory part of the curriculum. We have to teach our children how to live in a society. At the same time, there are at different levels there are different curricula. Like at the primary level, we have to build the foundation. Every child has a different personality. So a school provides them an opportunity where they come and live as a community, and for that certain hours, and they learn from each other, and they get this opportunity to groom their personality, to gain confidence. If we are killing the confidence of the students, if we are just ignoring their personality development, if we are not giving them that attention, that what they think, we give attention to them, their critical thinking, then it's very unfair with the students. Then I believe that somewhere there are flaws in our education system, and we should overcome these flaws, because how long it would continue. This is the reason when we complain that exactly we don't get those opportunities in the world, although we have very bright students, because we are not preparing them to compete. So we have to provide them every opportunity. Okay, there are certain some students, they want to become engineers, some would like to be a lawyer, some would like to be the doctor. So these are professional education. When they have certain set, okay, they are going to develop the skills in that. But every child has a skill and an ability which should be discovered while the child is in the school, and should be guided to follow the field and grow in the career. We should not enforce on them.
And I will come back on this, but my amazing colleague has got a question for you too as well, and then we'll continue from here. Please go on.
Right. So, ma'am, when I was researching for this program, and you focused a lot on knowledge-based curriculum, right? So the modern research says that knowledge-based curriculum should be discarded. Why? Because it is focused a lot on teacher as the sole expert in the class, because students have to follow teacher, because teacher is in front of them, and it does not incorporate the technology, especially when we are living in a digital age, right? So for example, if you have the mobile phones in the class, you have to switch them off, or you do not have to take them in, because your teacher is there to guide you. So this was the biggest criticism that was leveled on this, and the alternative model was the skill-based curriculum, because in that it focuses a lot on incorporating the digital technology, because nowadays I think kids are learning more from the mobile, all these games and all these cartoons, and I think we have also learned the name Baby Shark and whatnot. So what is your take on that?
You see, technology and this digital world has there's a lot of learning process.
Okay.
You know, now you can Google and you can research on anything.
That's
but exactly providing our students those kind of facilities. Okay, we don't allow mobiles, okay, in the class,
Right.
but exactly there should be the computer labs where the students should have an access to the digital technology,
Right.
where they should be guided that exactly we have to guide the students, okay, even about the websites and about everything. If we are not guiding them, if we are
Right.
not providing them the opportunity, if we are not, and teacher exactly would like to teach a certain set of books, or but at the same time, if there are libraries in the school, there are extracurricular activities, which provide the students an opportunity. They can acquire skills, they can learn, they can exhibit their skills. They are like, there are science exhibitions, there are art exhibitions, there are like practical areas also. So students should be given this is, a difference what a student who study at home
Yeah.
and who go to the school, because at the home, you have a limited opportunity,
Resource,
but
yes.
at the school, every school, rather than the single national curriculum, I would say that every school should have the equal opportunity. Education is a right which is guaranteed by our constitution.
Right.
So it's the state responsibility to provide quality education to each and every student of Pakistan. This is what I'm saying. Where you have limitation, okay, start the education channel a full time. If you have if you can have a sports channel, why we can't have a full time educational channel? Where
Right.
exactly those students who don't have those kind of mobiles,
Right.
those students who don't have the computers, but exactly PTV, I would say it is being watched everywhere in Pakistan, every corner
We
of
do
Pakistan.
have a tele-school channel as well.
Okay.
Yes.
But a dedicated channel for education.
yes, yes.
Okay,
It's a
that's
dedicated
great.
channel.
That's
Exactly.
great.
And in addition to that, now I want to come down to where, we spoke about single national curriculum, which you obviously are not in favor of.
Right.
But, certainly a boy from Punjab would know the same thing which a boy would from Sindh would, right? So I think that's the important aspect of it. Not that I'm saying that, it is actually going to impart a lot of knowledge to students. But now let me go back to where you said that, okay, if you want to be a doctor, an engineer or a pilot, those are specific fields. You really need a certain set of education to go for those careers as well. Now imagine, so I've studied this case study where, there are students and what they do is that for the first 5 years, they just let them play with toys and they see and they observe the teachers whether which toys is he or she most interested in. And then as soon as they realize that this is the interest of the boy or the girl, that's what they're going to study for the next 10 or 15 years. Then once they go to the university, only if they actually build up a business and they earn $1 million, that's the time when they're going to get a degree as well. I'm talking about Israel over here as well. That's the
Right.
kind of education system they have. How do you think that we can come down to a point where our knowledge system is perfectly all right? Do you have to wake up somebody, or was it for you?
I have to wake up my daughter.
All right, so it's
I
perfect.
have to wake up
Yeah.
my daughter.
It's perfect, mother's responsibilities, and, and
Yeah,
it's
although,
good that
although
you're at
let
the
me tell you
forefront.
that my daughter is a PhD student,
Mashallah.
but still it's a
Right. So it's
responsibility.
Obviously,
connected to the
and we
student
can
and the
see how
knowledge.
much you are advocating for education, so it's great. So how do you think that we are going to come down to a point where whatever we are studying is not kind of judged upon by somebody else as well? That imagine, yaar, acha kitne % marks hai tumhare FSC mein, kitne
Right.
% isme the. And even what I want to come down to is that imagine how cars were in 18th century. Now imagine we have electric cars, no engines at all. How were
And
the
this is the
classrooms?
subject my daughter is
Yeah.
doing PhD in.
And how were the classrooms in 18th century? They're still the same.
Okay, there are different learning techniques.
Yes.
Okay, we have to
Right.
see that exactly. Just restricting students to certain kind of books is not fair. Okay, they should get every opportunity. And this is a smart learning education system has been like very popular these days.
Right, right.
So I think this is the time that we should go for that. We should introduce smart learning system. Especially, I would say I've seen it. Generally, there is a concept that smart learning applies to the students who are in the college or the university. But I have seen that smart education is very successful for the students who are at the kindergarten
True,
level,
true, true.
because they have more curiosity, they have more learning ability, and they gain so much. And it's a natural attention that they put towards education, because exploring something, learning something through
not forced.
yeah. So exactly, that's not forced, and then exactly they learn the better phonics, they learn better spellings, they feel it is very interesting when they see like, okay, there are the animated programs, And this is, I think, this we should introduce. It's not that expensive. It's not that something which is impossible. And this is, I really wanted that during the COVID we should go for that smart learning system, because that provides students like, you know, a host of opportunities.
Right,
You know,
right.
because when they learn, they observe, they
explore,
find, you
yes.
know, and they are so interested. You know, when I did introduce the smart education system in Saudi Arabia, and let me tell you, the students were not ready to go home.
Oh,
They wanted to spend time in the school, and they were, you know, it was a challenge for us, like, you know, to motivate them. Okay, this is the time for you, and then it connects the parents also.
that's true.
You know, so parents can see that exactly
Learning
how
should
they.
always be fun, right?
Yeah, learning should be fun.
Right,
Learning
right.
should be fun, because in our country we think that learning is something which is enforced, it's burden, and we push the children to, like, you know, to go into certain fields. And we, you know, this is very, you know, one child could be a very good doctor, one could be a lawyer, one could be an artist.
Right, right.
So we have to see that exactly where they are interested, and how, like, you know, they build their career. Today careers are not restricted to doctor, lawyers, engineers. There are thousands of fields.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, artificial intelligence, like, you know, students, they
Right.
explore so much.
Right, right.
So this is the time that we reform our education system. We don't need single national curriculum in a way that we tell that, okay, the girls are, like, you know, restricted to certain kind of life, and the boys have certain privileges. We are posting those kind of pictures,
Right,
printing those kind I think that was done in haste, rather than what is important. Not a single national curriculum. I would say important is that there should be no differentiation of facilities in the schools. A school in the village should also have the same kind of facilities, the same kind of furniture, the same kind of books, the good
So
teachers.
the same kind of books will
Yeah.
similarly mean
No, no,
national
no,
curriculum.
that's not, like, you know, the quality.
Obviously.
You know, the quality. What I am saying.
And in fact, whatever everybody is studying, I think they should be studying the same too.
Yeah, they should be a quality. They should get all the facilities. It's very unfair that the schools in the like the private schools, they would have a different kind of a modernized lab, and the schools in the villages,
Right.
they would not even have a kind of
That's true.
furniture. So
That's
no, we are
Right.
depriving those students who could be very brilliant. We have seen Malala Yousafzai, you know, coming from where, and, you know, reaching
Alhamdulillah.
to the
Highest echelons
highest
of the-
Exactly,
echelon
and
of
then
power.
the advocate of education too as well. But
Right.
very quickly, on a very lighter note, and then you can continue, and that is that, you know, the last time when I was in Makkah, alhamdulillah, so I happened to go to one of their universities. And since you spoke about how Saudi students weren't really willing to go back home, so I got to know, you know, because one of our relative happens to be a professor in a university, that the university students each were getting paid 2,000 riyals per month.
Okay,
I mean, I would certainly not go away from my university then.
Okay, there are incentives, you know,
Yes.
exactly. I think, I don't know what people have idea about Saudi Arabia here, but exactly they have invested a lot in their education system.
Okay.
Like the universities which I have seen, which I have interacted with, Darul Hikmah or Ifat College, especially these girls' universities, they have every modern facility. And you know, exactly the girls, their Shura Council is mostly all PhDs.
And it's very modern, you know, the
Yeah.
universities are very modern. I've
Yeah,
been there.
even the schools, the kind of
Right.
facilities, everything, you know, from safety security system to the educational equipments to the extracurricular activities,
Everything.
we were regularly participating in the educational forums abroad, accreditations. So, you know, certain kind of standards have to apply. We just, like, you know, we would like to consider education as something, a binding. Go to the school, read, like, you know,
Zimmedari hai.
वैसे बंदूक छीन से जहाज. No, that is not exactly right. We should give students an exposure to the education, which help them, you know,
Right.
acquire their career goals, which help them acquire, learn ethics, moral values, cultural values, which help them be proud of their identity. So these things, and which also help them explore what are the new opportunities in the world.
Exactly.
Right.
wonderful.
So, ma'am, I would like to, you know, just ask you a question, a concluding note. That, you know, I was listening to a very interesting podcast. It was about the Islamization of the knowledge. You know, the first thing that comes to the mind, you know, when I talk about Islamization is, you know, some crazy mullah going rogue in South Asia, or maybe, you know, ISIS cutting off. But it's not like that, right? We had a really great philosopher, scientist, you know, whose inspiration was from Quran, like from Jabir bin Hayyan, and, you know, a lot of of other names, Avicenna and whatnot, right? But when you pictured the Western education, they said that politics should be separated from the religion, right? And which cuts off the infinite energy, the energy of God, which is coming into the sciences, right? And then we see the what do you call it, darker side of that in the West, with depression and anxiety, despite the fact that they're earning a lot of money, but they're still not contented in their life. So you talked about the civic education, right? We do have our own, national heroes. For example, Allama Iqbal. Why not implement Iqbaliyat into our educational system? Especially considering the fact that he was born in the same soil as we are from it, right? I was asking my, younger sister, कि यार तुम्हें वो शेर याद है? She said, मुझे मुश्किलों से याद होता है. What were you asking about that, right?
I think we should preserve the glory of our past also.
Right.
But at the same time, we should connect, because education has no limit. You know.
Right.
So वो जो है सितारों पे जो डालते हैं कुमन, so we have to keep that in our mind also, that with all the glorious history, we have to learn about what is the modernized.
And move ahead as well. Yes.
Yeah. But exactly those people who forget about their culture, their identity, and their history, they are being deprived, I would say. So you have to preserve everything.
That's true.
You have to preserve your values, you have to preserve your history, you have to preserve your national pride, your national identity, your cultural values. At the same time, one should be equipped with the modern knowledge.
Right.
So this is what the education is. Education gives you an opportunity to go to reach any height. It's not like which would restrict to certain level.
Yes.
So this exactly, I believe, and we used to, during our school times,
Right.
they used to be like lot of such programs like which were knowledge based, which help you critical thinking, which help you gain knowledge. And there were also programs in PTV like Nilam Ghar and all,
Right,
like
that's
quiz and Kasoti and all, like so which people used to remain engaged. Now we don't see those kind of like programs. We see just like a kind of depression,
Sensationalist, right.
yeah. So this is, I think we have to the culture of going to the libraries, I don't see that much, but we used to go regular to the library. Every that community has to be preserved, that
Tuesday and Thursday,
every area should have their own community.
You better wake her up.
Yeah. Every their own library, those facilities, where they engage, where they meet, they read books. So we have to also promote research.
True.
When we go across the world, we see that there is very less research contributed by Pakistani students, and that's why we are not able to create our mark in the world, because most of our own students who go for the doctorate degree, they follow the research and the publications of others.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Sair Kamran, for being with us, and for being so mindful. And yet here we are on this show where it's not depressing, and we're talking about education early in the morning as well. And for everybody who's out there, I'm going to agree to her where, yes, obviously we really need to remember the history. We really need to appreciate the people who have actually given in a lot to the country too as well. But yes, today's modern Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal are amongst us. All we need to do is that we need to look for them and their work as well. Only if you get time from your cell phones, you will certainly do that. And then the foremost and the most important part is research. And we really need to do a lot of research in almost every field. Ladies and gentlemen, and people from every walk of life, please make sure that you do so as well. It's your responsibility. With that, we're actually heading out towards a short break. When you guys will come back, we really need to talk about tolerance over here as well. Do you think that education actually helps you be that person who's very tolerant? Probably.
I think let's discuss that in the next segment, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to short break. We are heading towards a short break, and we'll be back.
Good morning.
Okay, so welcome back, Ji. And earlier on, we were discussing about the curriculum, and we also earlier on talked about the depression and anxiety and how the modernist system needs to change, to be more nature-centric, right? Shehzad, so having said so, I would like to introduce my guest, who happens to be Dr. Fahad Khan. He's a psychologist, and he's a pretty impressive CV, I would say, because he has done a lot of work in the post-colonialism and incorporating the Islamic studies into the field of psychology, which is something fascinates me a lot, because I think we have that sort of this complex where we consider the Western sciences very superior to ours. This is not the case. We do have a lot of inspirations when it comes to research, when it comes to what do you call the knowledge, but I do feel that sometimes they are very invisible, because we do not consider them as a superior form of knowledge. So without further any ado, we have with us Dr. Fahad Khan. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much to be on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. So first things first, first question for the audiences out there, because we go out in more than 46 countries, and that is that obviously Hajra has shared it with our audiences that alhamdulillah you want to incorporate the knowledge of the religion, and then obviously talk about how tolerance needs to be out there, how we really can get rid of anxiety, panic attacks, all of those issues, depression, suicide.
Right.
Is it because that you first of all happens to be a Hafiz al-Quran, or do you think that alhamdulillah that's a good one as well, or is it the courses you have attended or the courses you've attained over your period of life as well? So what is it?
So I've been in the United States for about 20 years now.
Yeah, because they won't teach you that, right?
No, they don't teach us that.
Yeah.
And I think one thing we noticed after being in the field, in the psychology field, is that there's something missing. We were talking about looking towards the West. West is doing a lot in technology. So if we look at like electric cars, it's okay to look at Tesla and get inspired.
Yeah.
But if you look at mental health, the Western model is failing.
Yeah.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death for youngsters. Everyone is depressed. Anxiety is on the rise. So you have to ask the question, what's missing?
Right.
And for us, I think the obvious solution is that we don't incorporate our own religion, we don't incorporate spirituality into this practice. And it's necessary, because when we look at psychology, which is the study of the soul, how can you study the soul without looking at spirituality or Islam?
And this is something which I've been focusing on lately as well. This is something we said yesterday, that only if you pray 5 times a day, alhamdulillah, and if you do your zikr, you recite Quran, you will certainly have a lot of peace to your soul too as well, alhamdulillah. But you obviously need to have that belief system in the first place. But how do you think, for our audiences out there, our Muslim audiences and, audiences all over the world, how do you think? Because now when we talk about religion, we're talking about Islam only. That's it. We're not talking about Christianity. We're not talking about Judaism as well. So do you think that it's only Islam which will give you the peace of soul, or do you think that it can be any religion?
I think it comes down to a deeper connection with the divine, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So whatever may the religion be, probably, or?
Well, I mean, I can't speak on other religions. I can only speak on Islam. But if you can attain that deeper connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now practices are also important, right? Praying is important as well.
Right.
But if that deeper connection is not there, you can keep praying and praying. It won't make any difference to you. And for me, at least, and what we have seen in the historically, it was easier for Muslims to take Greek philosophy and then take out psychology and do a lot of mental health work. The first psychiatric hospital was built in Iraq by Muslims. Right? It was done because we had that guidance from Islam. And I think in the Christian world, they were in the dark ages at the time, because they separated religion from secular knowledge. We did not have that struggle. So I do feel that, and there are other philosophies too. There's Buddhist psychology, there's Hindu psychology as well. And I'm sure they have their own ways.
And before we, because we in fact wanted to establish that in the first place, that how Islam can actually help us. So let's just give the opportunity to you and the mic to you too as well, and just explain it to us and our audiences, that how our religion will help us be good at what we can do.
And also, when I was going through your CV, I came across this research that you've done on the post-colonialism and their effects on psychology, right? So what are the latest trends in your study or the research that you did?
Right. So I think both questions can be answered in a way that, if when we look towards the West and we don't look at our own tradition, we're missing out on a lot of things. One of the things, I work at Khalil Center, it's a project of Zakat Foundation. One of the things that we do, and we're grateful that we are supported by our community, is that we do a lot of research on what did our tradition say. So there's a lot of ways you can achieve that closeness to the divine. One of the major pathways is to have self-awareness. I think right now we're missing self-awareness. People are not aware of themselves. I was listening earlier, you were mentioning Allama Iqbal.
Right.
Somebody asked him about his philosophy of khudi. How did you come to this philosophy?
Right.
And he attributed to the verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Don't be like those who forgot Allah and Allah made them forget themselves. And they were the true losers.
Right.
So knowing yourself, and there's a famous saying that, مَنْ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ فَقَدْ عَرَفَ مَنْ عَرَفَ نَفْسَهُ فَقَدْ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. Whomever knows himself knows his Lord. Right? So the way you can connect with the divine is by knowing your own self, by having that self-awareness. And unfortunately, we're on autopilot. We do things, people get angry, they don't know why we're getting angry.
True.
We get sad, we don't know why we're getting sad. You can ask yourself, how are you feeling? And we don't know why we're feeling that way.
Yeah.
And I think we need to increase that self-awareness.
So how do we get to the point of self-awareness?
Good question. So Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, in his Ihya al-Ulum, he wrote, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said that whenever Allah wishes good for his servant, he gives him insight into his deficiencies. Okay. Right? And then Imam Ghazali explains that the way to do that, there are several paths. One is what the Sufiya used to do. You have a sheikh, someone you go to, a
Right.
mentor will tell you that you have a problem with your nafs and you can go do this and do that.
Right.
The other path is to have a companion who is righteous, upright, and who can then help you understand what's wrong with you. Our idea of friendship nowadays is that someone who just says yes to whatever you do, but someone who challenges you, who pushes you, says, no, you're not supposed to be doing this. If you're not praying, why aren't you praying? That's a true friend. And for us in the West now, that's an equivalent of a Muslim psychologist, a Muslim therapist, someone who can challenge you in that setting and help you then identify your own secrets and problems that are inside of you that you're not aware of.
So in the first
Right.
place, you really need to have a deeper connection.
Yes,
Yes.
and through other people.
I
as
think this
well,
is
yes.
a very
Yeah.
favorite sort of conversation going on. I love it.
I like
a
it
lot.
too.
Right. So I, often ask this question a lot of people. So, a lot of all the prophets were sent to the East because, the East have a thriving atmosphere in terms of the philosophical question was always how to live, right? Why to live, right? And in the West, it was, how to live because, the situation and the nature, you have to struggle with that, with the freezing temperatures and stuff like that. Now we see that, West has made a lot of strides when it comes to materialism, the technology is so advanced and stuff like that. But, when it comes to spirituality, I do feel that they're lagging behind. Is there any debate going on inside the West about, the rise of the religion or stuff like that? What is your take on that?
Yeah, so because it's a secular society, they won't say
Right.
religion. But the most common way to treat mental illness in the West is cognitive behavioral therapy. And when they realized that it's not working at a deeper level, what they started doing is they came to the East and adapted things from Hinduism and Buddhism, mindfulness, yoga,
Right.
meditation into the CBT so they could enhance it. Right?
Right.
But as you said, it's based on materialism. Allama Iqbal in one of his poems, Lenin Khuda ke Huzur Mein, he makes a very beautiful attribution. He says, people who are missing the divine light, they can only go as far as technology. And then he says, "Hai dil ke liye maut mashinon ki hukumat, ehsaas-e murawwat ko kuchal dete hain halat." The
Right.
more you attribute to materialism, the more you attribute to this world, temporal world, the farther you're going to be away from your own emotions. And that's what we're seeing in the West right now.
True.
And they're struggling with that.
Right, right. And we also see, this trend, especially when it comes to the digital age, is that people are a lot turning towards, binge watching on the Netflix and,
Yes.
eating a lot of junk food, having burgers and whatnot. And that's, I think, it's a very temporary fix to the depression and
It's
anxiety.
not even a fix.
Right, it's not a fix,
Rather
but
you're
a
worried
temporary
about
distraction, right?
Rather you worried about the calorie intake. You're like, I still have to burn
That's
it
true.
the next day in the
That's
gym.
true.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a temporary distraction from the anxiety and the depression that is going along. And there are a lot of other, it's a billion-dollar industry, the yoga, mindfulness and whatnot. I'm not denying the sad benefits of them. Of course, they might have the benefits, which is suggested. But, as a Muslim, we do not read Quran that much, and I would also like to explore the relationship between the Quran and as a commoner, because we are not raised in an Arabic-speaking society. We are non-Arabic.
We do not
right?
even understand Arabic.
Right,
Yes.
right. And so for me, Quran has been something very holy, that should be wrapped in a very holy, cloth and, put on the top place of my cupboard,
And
right?
that's where it stays.
Right, that's where it stays. So can you, put some more light into it? I know that's a folly to assume that, Quran is limited to only those people who know Arabic or who are experts. It's not like that. But I think that the relationship has somehow turned into like that.
Right.
So would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you take any verse from the Quran, and our scholars have interpreted in many ways, right?
Right.
So we talked about how Allama Iqbal took one verse and has a whole concept of khudi on it, right?
True.
Right.
So I think there's a lot. I mean, the idea of nafs, right? Our
Right.
nafs is this animal inside of us. It feeds on itself, its desires, and
Right.
this goes back to binge watching, right? You're constantly feeding that animal.
Right.
The animal is riding you instead of you riding the animal,
That's
right?
true.
I think that concept is explained briefly in the Quran, but scholars have talked more about it. And this is what I mean when I say the West is missing that aspect, right?
Right.
Because they will never go into the idea of why binge watch. They'll talk about the harmful effects of binge watching, but not the
Right.
why of it, not where it comes from.
Right.
Oftentimes there's emotional issues underneath that as well. People are self-soothing through engaging in these behaviors. We also have to recognize that platforms like TikTok and they have this endless scrolling.
Yeah.
They hired psychologists to make sure that you get addicted.
And that's the
It's-
problem.
Exactly. It's designed that way.
True.
So how can you combat something that you designed to then get people addicted to it?
True.
Right.
And in addition to that, towards the end, there's one more thing which I wanted to ask. So obviously, it's about having a deeper connection. It's about being mindful. It's about being self-aware. These are the things which I have figured out probably on my own, because unfortunately the kind of preachings and the teachings we had while we were growing up, acha beta ek ruku pad lo, and that's it pretty much, so there's no understanding of what you're actually learning, studying. It wasn't even learning, it was us imitating. I think that's what it was. So obviously we weren't mindful. So it took us a longer period, because till the time I was 18 or 20, I certainly had no idea about what my religion was all about, and I had to go over it over and over again. So very quickly, in very easier words, for people who are actually watching us today, if they want to get rid of these very issues which they might come across, they're sad most of the time, they're angry, they're misbehaving with their parents, and then obviously there's this inner guilt within your own self that, hey, you know what, I really need to do something about it.
Right.
So what would you recommend them to do, every single day, and which you think will change their life? Please go
Right.
ahead.
And
Right.
it should be a higher source of
Yes.
inspiration, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
So I mean, like Allama Iqbal said in his work as well in Reconstruction, that Quran is not just a book of ideas, but it's action.
Right.
I think we have to put things into action. So whether it's
Right.
daily practices, whether it's something that we do by ourselves or with others,
Right.
with others around us, helping others. This is why relief work is so important. Like Zakat Foundation does work all over the world here for that reason, because that brings happiness to people, even those who are involved at a volunteer level. Spending time and doing things against your own will, even though you might hate someone, you might dislike someone, but spending time with them, right? Spending time with your parents. Sometimes, like you mentioned, there's that disconnect that's there. But I would suggest that having a balance between individual life, where you're focused on yourself, whether you do it in solitude, whether you're doing meditation, you're spending time outside or praying, as well as time with other people, but it's balanced. There's no extreme in one side or the other, and a Muslim is supposed to live that balanced life.
Right.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation. And, for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, he actually kind of is the ambassador for that balance too as well. So imagine he's in Hafiz al-Quran as well, and he happens to be a PhD doctor from the United States of America. Well, not that I'm going to say that, that's a big deal. But then at the same time, imagine that, that's the kind of balance you would want in your life. You know religion,
Right.
you know Arabic, you understand it, and then you have the worldly knowledge. You combine them both. Here you are on World This Morning. But thank you very much for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. And for everybody who's out there, I think that's it. You just have to have a deeper connect. Please make sure that whatever you're
Right.
supposed to do, if you have a belief system, if you have faith system, please continue to do so. Just be the servant of Allah Almighty, and that's it. Everything will be out there for you. आपके कदमों में होगी हर चीज़. आपने सिर्फ अल्लाह की इबादत करनी है. अल्लाह के हम गुलाम हैं. हमने गुलाम बन के रहना है. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam की सुन्नत को follow करना है. I think that's it pretty much. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of,
Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning.
without a,
Gee.
on Dailymotion and YouTube.
Well, this morning.
And the fabulous appeal is going to be at 10:05 tonight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.